Hey guys, so this is the first in my series of book reviews. I decided to start doing book reviews because I thought it would give me some incentive to read a lot of the books I have here at my house. Somebody once told me that you can never have too many books. I know that for a fact that that's actually a lie. That is not true. And the person who actually told me this book was the uh, Walmart, or not Walmart, Goodwill cashier who sold me this book. It was a Goodwill in Washington, Iowa, and the book is Bear by Bev Klauer. And Bev Klauer is actually a local author. Uh, she lived in eastern Iowa. I believe she's dead now. This was published in 2003, and if you look here, uh, the About the Author page, she looks to be about 60 in that picture at least. And I think I actually found her obituary online a while back. I can't remember if it was definitely her, but I believe that it was. But Bev Klauer lived in eastern Iowa, uh, enjoy the land and all the animals. She writes animal fiction, or she wrote animal fiction, which is like a genre of fiction, basically. And this book is self-published, and the reason she gives for having to self-publish her books is that publishers didn't think that animal fiction was very hot at the time. They didn't think that it would sell. They didn't really know how to market her books, so she had to self-publish. And that sounds like a cop-out, but in her case, I actually 100% believe that. That actually makes perfect sense considering what it is she wrote, which is animal fiction. It does sound like something that would be difficult to market. So I'm actually going to believe her on that one. I think that, and as I read this book, which I just finished reading it, it took me about a year to read because I haven't been reading a lot of physical books in the last 10 years. I spend most of my time looking at screens. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but like I said, I want to get all of my books read before I die. So, but Bev Klauer here, she wrote this book, and the writing in the book the quality of the writing and the storytelling is very good. So I actually 100% believe that if she could have found a publisher to work with her, she had the raw talent to be a professional author. So I totally believe that. This was a very enjoyable story. It was kind of a conventional story. Uh, you know, there wasn't a whole lot in it that was shocking. You read the inside page here. Oh, and by the way, it's autographed. That's kind of nice. And before I say anything else, there will be spoilers, but I think that's actually okay because the odds that you're going to be able to get your hands on a copy of this are slim. Oh, there's Zara. Hi, Zara. Yeah, you're a camera hog, aren't you? But the odds that you're going to... I'm just going to let her stand there. But the odds that you're going to get... the odds that you're going to find this book are slim. I couldn't find it on Amazon. I couldn't find it. I couldn't even find mention of it online with a casual search. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe only a couple of boxes of this book were made or were printed, and this may be one of the last ones. And it's an autographed one, so that's nice. But anyway, Bear is about a... I'm going to go back. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Zara. I have to open the book. You might know Zara from some of my other videos. Bear. Graphic. Not suitable for young children. The setting is a peaceful small community in northwest Canada. A pet grizzly bear comes between a man and his wife. A wild polar bear turns killer and terrorizes a town. The suspense is high and the action is exciting. There's something for a wide range of readers in this classic tale of good versus evil. And, yeah. So it's 2000, yeah, published in 2002, I guess. And then other works by her, Wolf Song and Summer of the Otter. And yeah, that's basically what it is. It's about a town in northwestern Canada, right off the Alaska border. And a guy named Dave lives in this town, and he has a wife and a kid and a pet grizzly bear. And the grizzly bear is well liked by people in the community. He's kind of a mascot for the community. And then one day, a couple of poachers who live in this town are tempted to go up to the mountain that is like kind of on one side of the valley of this town. It's a mountain called Point Whistle. They're tempted to go up there and kill a couple of polar bear cubs because somebody offered them money to do it. And they kill the cubs, and the mother polar bear is nearby, the sow, which is the female polar bear is a sow. She kills them brutally and eats them. And of course, if you know about bears, you know that once they have human flesh, they can get a taste for meat. It's true with other animals too. And they become man killers. And this polar bear becomes a man killer. And that's one of the plots. And then a subplot is what's going on with Dave and his family. Dave is out of work. The local cannery in the town is closed down. He has a mortgage, and he has this really expensive pet, a giant grizzly. And the wife, kind of in typical fashion in a story like this, in a lot of stories, particularly in Disney movies, it's like, you have to make a decision, Dave. Either the bear goes or we go. And of course, we is her and the kid, because she's going to leave and take the kid with her. Because of course. And that's what she does. She takes the kid, and they move in with her parents in Montana, leaving Dave alone to basically figure out what he's going to do. And so the story is basically about attempts to kill this bear, which constantly fail. The army comes in, I'm guessing the Canadian army. They come in, they kind of take a shot at it, and they fail. The bear is very smart and just kills a bunch of people. Kind of picks people off here and there. One thing I have to praise Bev Klauer about is that she really does not skimp on the gore. She actually makes it the bear attacks nastier and more violent and gorier than they even have to be. There's one scene in particular about something that happens to a female victim of the polar bear that was so more gruesome than I was expecting from Ms. Klauer here. Very descriptive and very graphic, what happens to that woman. And I have to say, I have to give Beverly Klauer props for that. As a woman, the fact that she wasn't afraid to make the bear attacks realistic in their horrific nature, but then also to allow bad things to happen to women as well as men, because there are a lot of horror movies where it's, especially in the past, and even to a certain extent in the present with the current climate. Oh, you can't have bad things happening to a woman. You can't have things that are happening to the women be as gruesome as what's happening to the men. Beverly does not discriminate. It's pretty much an equal number of women and men that get killed, including a teenage couple. They get killed as they're boating on a canal. There's a lot of, she just doesn't discriminate. Just like the bear wouldn't discriminate in real life, Beverly Klauer doesn't discriminate. Another thing I respected was the fact that this is kind of like an anti-Disney movie, in that at the end of the book, it's the wife who kind of has the come to Jesus moment. The wife comes back to her husband and says, "We're coming back. let's find a way to keep Schaefer, who's their pet grizzly bear. He's part of the family, and I know that you love him and he's important to you, and I'm sorry that I made you make this tried to make you make this impossible choice. I was wrong and it was selfish of me. That was great. That was really great. That it was, in this story, it was the woman who ended up apologizing to the husband, when so often you see it the other way around. So, especially considering that it's a female author, I have a lot of respect for Ms. Klauer for making that creative choice. So, if you can guess that the reason I picked up this book in the first place, it was because of the cover. That's quite a picture there, and then just the combination of that and the title. You look at this and you think, this is something I might want to take a second or third look at. The odd thing is, I can't read who wrote or who drew the picture, but there are a couple of illustrations in the book. There's one at like the halfway point in the book. There we go. And then there's one near the end. And, you know, not to spoil things too much, but you know how this is going to end. It's going to come down to the two bears fighting each other, and that's what happens. The pet grizzly, Schaefer, ends up fighting the sow polar bear. And of course, that's what's going to happen. I mean, what else? What do you expect? But, and also, before I read this book, I actually spoiled it for myself. I skipped to the end to make sure that Schaefer didn't die. Because I've read way too many books, mostly ones I was forced to read in elementary school, like Old Yeller and Where the Red Fern Grows, where some beloved pet or animal dies. I was like, you know what? I'm a grown man. I don't have to read a book like that if I don't want to. So I skipped to the end, and I saw that Schaefer doesn't die. So I was like, okay, knowing that, I can go ahead and read the book. And so that's what I did. And it's a good story. If I had to rate it all together, I would give it a. I usually go with a scale of 1 to 10 when I'm rating movies or TV shows or books or anything. So, I would give it a solid 8.5. I think. I would give it a 9, except that there are some strange wordings, strange phrasings in this book, and some punctuation errors and stuff like that, and usage errors in general. I don't really blame Bev Klauer for that. Sorry about that. I shut the camera. I actually don't blame her for that, because she, you know, obviously she didn't have access to a professional editor. Or a professional artist. I mean, the cover art is very good, but you saw those other two pictures. Like, you know, she had to, Beverly Klauer had to work with who she had on hand, probably other people living in her town. So her editor could very well have been her husband or somebody she worked with, and the artist was probably maybe, you know, most likely an art student, and at the high school. Not to disparage anyone, but that's probably the case. And, you know, the truth is, anybody who knows about the process of writing a book, an editor is in a lot of ways, they're basically the co-author of the book, because they're the ones who say, okay, we need to cut this, we need to reword this, we need to, etc. So, you know, her editor was not as talented as she was. And that kind of, you know, when you see that strange wording, strange phrasing, sentence structure and stuff, it takes you out of the story a little bit. I'm not really going to hold it against her very much. Really, even not considering that, I think I would still give it an 8.5, which is a pretty damn good rating. I mean, that's like an A minus on the 1 to 10 scale, because 5 is average. Whereas, like, in the school grading scale, 75%, which would be 7.5, is average. But it's like 5 is average on the 1 to 10 scale. So, yeah, 8.5, about an A minus. You know, there's some stuff I wasn't quite expecting. Like, there was Dave has to end up selling his bear which is like a heartbreaking thing. And the bear has to get loaded onto the trailer, and then his wife, on the way back to Filbert, which is the name of the town, she actually intercepts the truck and the trailer carrying Schaefer at a motel, and in the middle of the night she frees Schaefer out of the trailer and into her trailer, and so she basically steals back the polar bear or the grizzly bear. That's kind of a funny scene. So there are like scenes here and there that are not little surprises that are not part of the I'm kind of losing what I'm trying to say here, but I guess what I'm saying is there are some surprises here and there. It's not just like these few sentences at the front that tell you, basically what's going on. They don't even mention the fact that the two bears are going to fight. You kind of just figure that out on yourself, by yourself. But it's a fairly conventional story overall. I think 8.5 is a pretty good score. I very rarely, it's not often that I give out 9s and 9.5s anyway, so coming from me, an 8.5 is pretty good. It's an entertaining story, and I felt like it was worth my time to read. It's about 237 pages, but as you can see, it's kind of large print. I think you could call that large print, and it's kind of widely spaced. I actually dog-eared one passage here because I wanted to read and give you sort of a taste of what her writing style is like. Lieutenant Whitty had every reason to be scared. The sow polar bear was right above him and David. She laid on a smooth, snow-covered rock formation, one of many that rimmed her domain of Point Whistle. Snow swirled, hid her whiteness, making her appear as just one more unrecognizable lump in the obscure, uneven terrain. But this lump was very different from all the others. It breathed, it grieved, and had the air not been so cold, the rage it contained would have melted its snowy covering to water. So, pretty good writing, honestly. There are kind of like little crescendos like that all throughout the book. Crescendos of like really good writing that are really fun to read. Kind of running out of things to say, but I wanted to make this video because, like I said, there isn't a whole lot of mention of Bev Klauer online, if any, and I wanted to make this video so that her work lives on online in some form, because I doubt anyone else is going to mention this book in a YouTube video, so I want to be the one to do that. And what else do we have here? I think I kind of covered all the bases here. There's some blurbs on the back there if you want to pause and see those. Nobody's mentioned by name. I tried looking at that website, looking that up. That's no longer up. It's a GeoCities website. Yep, so I think that pretty well covers it. It's a good book. The cover was what caught my attention, but it was worth $1.88, and it was worth the amount of time that it took to read the book. And I'll see you next time. I'm actually doing a Halloween special in which I review a book that is actually a short story called The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe, and that'll be the Halloween special that I'll publish roughly a week from now. And I think that's good. So, bear. Hey guys, just one quick final thought here that I forgot to mention in the video. This book would make a fantastic movie. It has all of the elephants. It has all of the elements. That's one animal that this story doesn't have, is elephants. It's all about bears, but it has the elements of a great sort of survival tale, animal horror, animal survival, kind of in the same vein as The Edge by with Anthony Hopkins, and then the Gray, that Liam Neeson movie with the wolves that I never saw.
but especially since we've gotten to the point where CGI enables filmmakers to make animal stories without animals, and especially in this story, you probably couldn't get a polar bear and a grizzly bear to fight without killing each other. So we've reached a point in time where it's possible to make this movie and somewhat feasible. So I don't know who owns the rights to Bev Klauer's work, but it's certainly something to think about to try to pitch this story to somebody. I doubt that it'll ever get made, but honestly, it's a decent story, and it would be an action-packed, kick-ass movie overall. So just wanted to mention that, and I will see you in the next video.